The movie kicks off with two guards working for a security firm called Fortico. While they're on duty, a cement truck pulls up ahead of them, and a gunman, along with his team, steps out. They launch an attack on the truck, pushing the guards out and grabbing the money bags. However, amidst the chaos, gunshots ring out. Fast forward 3 months, Terry, the manager, makes mention of the prior truck incident where 2 guards and a civilian lost their lives. Patrick Hill is informed that he'll be taking over for these men, but first, he must pass some firearms tests. Bullet guides him through rigorous training, and Patrick, just barely, meets the requirements to become a guard. From now on, he goes by the name H. Later, he meets fellow guards, Hollow Bob and Boy Sweat Dave. They embark on their first drop-off mission with H, and as anticipated, everything goes smoothly. During another job, they are confronted by armed robbers communicating through walkie-talkies, demanding they halt as they have Bullet captive. H is instructed to toss the money bags into the back of a pickup, but he deliberately drops one off the truck. Seizing an opportunity as one of the gunmen steps out, H hurls a bag and swiftly shoots the man in the head. He proceeds to take down all the gunmen with pinpoint accuracy, eliminating each one. He then pursues the leader, cornering him in a nearby building and dispatching him. Terry scrutinizes H's actions on the job, informing him that he'll be confined to a desk duty for at least a month. However, Fortico's CEO, Blake Halls, commends H and believes he should be promoted. H is then called in to review footage of a prior truck robbery to check if any of the gunmen seem familiar. He discreetly focuses on one specific assailant but tells the others that nothing strikes him as recognizable. The next day, fellow guards applaud H for his heroic efforts. He expresses gratitude and gets back to work. Everything proceeds as usual until 3 months pass. While on their way to a delivery, a bike obstructs their path, and armed men surround them. They deploy a smoke device, forcing Bullet out of the truck. However, when H steps out and reveals his face, the gunmen seem to recognize him and promptly withdraw. Back at headquarters, Terry is baffled that armed men abandon the money just by seeing H's face. Blake silences Terry and informs H that he's going to have his own franchise soon, encouraging him to continue his commendable work. Bullet confers with Boy Sweat Dave, suspecting there's more to H, labeling him as a dark spirit. Later that night, H enters the house of a guard named Dana. When he discovers a stash of money in her apartment, he interrogates her. He fires a few warning shots to intimidate her, and she confesses to stealing some of that money from a job a few months ago. H presents Dana with 2 photos of her parents, cautioning her that there will be significant consequences if she's not truthful. Let's rewind 5 months earlier. H is spending time with his son Dougie, who is visiting from out of state. While on vacation, H receives a call from his former criminal employer, Mike, who was also the leader of the group that turned against H. Mike seeks H's assistance with one last job, but H doesn't need to be directly involved. H and Dougie drive near the docks where the robbery is planned, with H providing Mike information about the truck's direction. As H is grabbing food for themselves, the crew attempting the robbery arrives. One of the gunmen instructs Dougie to exit the van. H witnesses the situation and rushes to protect his son, but a gunman with a distinctive scar near his eyes fatally shoots Dougie before H can intervene. In the ensuing chaos, H is repeatedly shot. H falls into a coma for nearly 3 weeks before eventually recovering, only to receive the devastating news that Dougie did not survive. He meets with his ex-wife Jane, who places blame on H for their son's tragic passing. Later, H convenes with Mike and his associates, all of whom share a sense of responsibility for Dougie's tragic fate. They agree to assist H in tracking down the individuals accountable. The group delves into the criminal underworld, methodically interrogating various teams until a man finally divulges information about a group of criminal brothers. This leads H to a building where these brothers are deeply involved in a range of heinous activities. Despite their lack of useful information, H takes matters into his own hands, ultimately eliminating the brothers. Subsequently, H joins the ranks at Fortico. He meticulously observes the guards on duty, which prompts him to request files from his assistant, Kirsty. These files contain background checks on the guards as well as an autopsy report on Dougie's tragic passing. In parallel, we are introduced to the crew responsible for the initial robbery. This team consists of ex-veterans from Afghanistan who are marginalized in American society. They are under the leadership of a man named Jackson, with Carlos, Sam, Tom, Brad, and Jan in his employ. Jan, the individual who took Dougie's life and targeted H, is among them. As the crew plans the truck robbery, they do so amidst a party celebrating Jackson's leadership. During the heist, they notice H and Dougie arriving. Sam directs Dougie out of the van, instructing him to lie on the ground. However, Jan becomes unhinged and fatally shoots the two guards upon realizing that Dougie has seen his face. In a swift action, Jan eliminates the guard before turning his gun towards H. In the aftermath of this heist, the crew sets their sights on their final job, a score of over $150 million, to be divvied up among themselves and their inside man, revealed to be Bullet. Jackson and Tom meticulously plan the operation weeks in advance, expressing concern over Jan's tendency to deviate from the plan. However, Jackson remains confident that Jan will ultimately follow orders. The crew then heads to Fortico for the heist. Inside, Bullet discloses to H that he is the inside source guiding the crew to their target trucks. Bullet disables the security cameras and takes refuge in an abandoned building. Donned in heavy bulletproof suits, Jackson's crew ties up H's hands and proceeds to raid the truck. The robbery starts smoothly, with everyone complying by placing their hands and faces on the ground. However, a guard panics and triggers the emergency alarm, causing chaos to erupt. Bullets fly as the crew manages to breach the door to the money stash. In the ensuing frenzy, they ruthlessly dispatch every individual in their line of sight, resulting in significant casualties. One of their own sustains an injury amidst the violent mayhem. As they deactivate the emergency button, they swing open the gates for their final team member arriving with a pickup truck to load the bags of cash. Meanwhile, SWAT has been alerted and is en route, 8 minutes away. The police manage to block the entrance, and SWAT is racing to the scene. In a daring move, H seizes an assailant's gun and shoots his leg. He then applies a John Jones chokehold until the man goes still. H takes advantage of the situation, donning the bulletproof gear. He approaches one of the men loading cash into the truck, compelling him to remove his helmet. When it's not the killer of his son, he pulls the trigger. The rest of Jackson's crew finds themselves immobilized, pinned down by Dana and another guard. Time is slipping away. Bullet reveals his true colors, rushing over to Dana's aid. However, when handed a gun, he ruthlessly eliminates them both in the corridor. Dave attempts to rise but is swiftly shot. Terry is coerced to step out, and H emerges for a fierce one-on-one showdown. He sustains injuries but ultimately prevails, dispatching the assailant. Jackson's men lift the injured man and make their way to the vehicle, while H unleashes a hail of automatic gunfire at them. Dave summons his strength, fires at the injured man, and delivers the finishing blow. Meanwhile, H senses a threat behind him. Bullet shoots him, incapacitating him. Believing H is dead, Bullet reloads and contacts Dave, informing him that the shooters have departed. As Dave peers out, he's met with a barrage of bullets, sealing his fate. Driving away, H locks eyes with Jan, recognizing him as Doogie's killer. They share a tense moment before crashing the armored truck through 2 police cars and initiating a high-speed chase, pursued by SWAT and even helicopters. Enduring minor damage from the relentless assault, they seek refuge in a building, sealing off their entrance. With only 5 minutes to escape, they plan to utilize an underground access tunnel, a secret unknown to the public. H's earlier shot had scraped Jackson's neck, leaving him injured. When they're forced to abandon the truck, Jan ruthlessly finishes off Jackson. He and Bullet transport the money via elevator and descend underground. Loading the bags onto quad bikes, they cover 3 miles and eventually reach a car. Bullet comes to a grim realization that Jan is a turncoat and attempts to take him out. However, Jan acts swiftly, ending Bullet's life with a single, fatal shot. He proceeds to make off with the entire haul, with hundreds of tunnels offering a myriad of escape routes. The police are unable to cover all escape routes in time, allowing Jan to make a safe getaway. Later, Jan sits in an apartment surrounded by the stolen cash. Suddenly, he receives a phone call from inside the bag. As Jan turns around, H emerges, tossing Doogie's autopsy report in front of him. Confused, Jan reads that Dougie suffered fatal gunshot wounds to his liver, lung, spleen, and heart. He recalls the haunting image of H's son on the floor, looking up at him. Without mercy, H shoots Jan in the liver, then the lungs. As Jan gasps in pain, he's reminded of that moment. H proceeds methodically, targeting the spleen, and finally, the heart. Leaving the apartment, H encounters Agent King, who assures him the job is done and hints at the possibility of recovering the stolen money. H then joins another man in a car, driving away. Thank you for staying till the end. Your support on my channel would mean a lot. As always, catch you in the next one.